Hello everybody and welcome to the Across the Stages podcast, brought to you by Absolute Motorsport Radio and also available on Absolute Motorsport TV. I'm Casey and joining me today is Joshua Suttill. We're back for our second series for the 2019 season, and we're going to start off by previewing the 2019 season and looking forward to the Monte-Carlo Rally. So we're going to start off today by looking at the season as a whole, and later on we're going to be getting on to that preview of just the Monte-Carlo Rally. And as you would have seen, a very different lineup this year, a lot of changes. Sébastien Ogier, looking for his 7th World Championship, has moved to Citroën, and we're going to start with him. And of course Citroën really changing everything up, signing Pekka Lappi as the second driver as well. What can we expect from Citroën, and in particular from Ogier, in 2019?
I think a huge step, from what we've seen previously. I think there's no doubts about it. You know, they have to win at least the Drivers' Championship, this year. I think that's pretty much what it's all on. You know, they're only running 2 cars full-time this year. So to me, it's pretty clear that this is all about giving Ogier the best possible chance of winning that Drivers' Championship. And even though they've had a lot of issues, let's say, over the past couple of years, I think they are looking in pretty good shape heading into the season. But, you know, compared to his previous years, James, you know, do you think this is his biggest challenge yet for Ogier?
Yeah, but I think in terms of his challenge, I don't think his challenge is necessarily making Citroën a winning team again, because I don't think they're really that far off it. I think it's more to do with the competition that he's got, because Citroën towards the end of last season, they weren't too bad, were they really? Considering they had no multiple rally winners or championship contenders in the car, they were still getting okay results. I think his main problem is going to be the competition, just how far ahead Toyota are going to be, maybe at the start of the season performance-wise. But I don't think Citroën are too far away in terms of their car. Pekka Lappi seems pretty positive with it, and obviously he's been in that Toyota. So to me, I think Lappi, his positive comments about we can make this the quickest car is probably the most positive thing I've heard so far.
Yeah, I think, you know, Lappi's a driver as well that is probably going to make a huge step this year. I think he's a pretty good bet really to maybe be around that sort of best of the rest target, and he's probably still going to be targeting, you know, maybe Latvala, even though they're in separate teams. I reckon that sort of position, maybe kind of 4th in the championship, is probably where he's going to be wanting to go for. You know, Ogier, of course, is a fantastic driver, and it's a difficult challenge for Lappi. But for me, you know, I can see him definitely matching him on, you know, quite a few of the rallies. Maybe not over the season consistently, but do you think maybe he could do something a bit like what Tanak did back in 2017?
Yeah, I think he can, definitely, because this is the first year where he now knows all of the events. In terms of last year, I think people expected too much from him because he won that Finland 2017. People thought he's going to be winning rallies again, but half the rallies that he was doing it for the first time in a WRC car. So yeah, I think we did obviously last year we did that top 10 rankings thing, didn't we? And we had Lappi quite high up, but other people have had him very low down. They didn't seem to rate him, but I think he is on the edge of something very good. Right, let's move it on then to M Sport, which of course have lost Ogier. Citroën have been the team that have taken him away, and the financial reasons behind that is the main thing. And in terms of Ford, maybe not giving the kind of backing that Ogier wanted. But from what I've heard from everything from M Sport, despite these financial problems, despite losing Ogier, they still think they could win rallies. Do you think that is realistic?
No, unfortunately not, I don't think. You know, my prediction, if I had to put one out there for this year, is that, you know, M Sport will not win a rally. I think it's going to be a win this season for them. That's not to say they don't have, you know, good drivers, because they do, but they just don't, for me, have that kind of real, you know, killer star driver in there. At least not now. There is a chance they could win an event, you know, maybe with good road position, or if they get a different kind of guest driver in that, you know, M Sport. But for me, you know, Suninen, Tiedemann, Evans, you know, Greensmith when he appears, none of them for me are really going to have a good chance of winning a rally. I think just because the competition is so tough, I think M Sport might get a little bit lost this year, but at least they're on the grid. I think that's one good thing that they have managed to make it. They can have 3 cars in Monte Carlo, and they are going to be fighting, and they're going to be a bit of an underdog. There'll be no expectations on them, but for me, I think they are going to fall short of that win.
I disagree. I think they will get a win. I'm not expecting multiple rally wins, I must be honest. But I think that somewhere like Wales with Elfyn, obviously, or I think Suninen this year is going to be a bit stronger. I could see them picking up something. But I think mostly it'll be kind of podiums. The win is going to be something that's going to be quite rare, I think. But I think that they could pick something up. As you said, like Tiedemann and Greensmith, they're just there basically providing money into the team to just learn their trade in WRC cars, so really don't expect anything from them. But there is going to be, obviously Tiedemann's just doing those first 2 rounds to start off with. Greensmith is doing Portugal. Who do you think out of those 2 is going to excel more?
Tiedemann for sure, I think, definitely. I think he could be quite a big surprise, really. He doesn't have a lot of time in the car, but I feel like he could be someone who could sneak a surprise result. Maybe in Sweden or something, he could get something out of it. So I think Tiedemann, to be honest, could easily be on the pace of Suninen and Evans. He's shown that before in WRC2. Greensmith, I think it's going to be one of those drivers that kind of slots in between the kind of factory guys and maybe the privateers or the kind of top R5 cars. So, yeah, I'm expecting good things from Tiedemann. And Greensmith, I think is more there on financial sort of grounds. But Tiedemann, for me, has earned his shot after, quite a few years in terms of the second tier.
Yeah, I think he was very unlucky not to be in WRC last year. So, yeah, I really hope that it goes well for him. I think it would be a real shame if, having waited this long and sacrificed so much, he's left his management group and everything to pursue this with M Sport. So I really hope that it goes well for him. Going on to we're going to Suninen now, because I actually managed to grab a word with Teemu Suninen at the Autosport International Show where they did the WRC launch, and I'm just going to quickly play to you now what he said about his chances and how he was looking forward to the 2019 season.
So Teemu, new season coming up. What are the targets for the upcoming season?
Yeah, first of all, my target is to be in top 6 in the Pro Championship, because by that we can reach good agreements for the coming years. So that's my main target.
Yep. And in terms of the car, I've seen a few little changes in the aero. Do you think that they've improved the car?
Yeah, I'm sure that it's improved. But for me the question is how much the other cars have improved. So it's difficult to say if we are faster or not, but at least we have taken some good steps forward.
In terms of events, which event are you targeting for the big results this season?
I would like to go for the Finland.
Yeah.
That's my home event, and already last year I was able to beat Sepp. I was able to be faster than him, so I know that I can be really faster.
Yeah. And finally, obviously, a changing co-driver for this year. Are you settling in nicely with that?
Yeah, we have been traveling and driving for 2 weeks before the Christmas, and now 2 days in the test. And it's been great to do job with him, and I feel more relaxed, more happy to work.
Well, thank you very much.
So there we go. Suninen looking forward to an improvement definitely from next season. He definitely wants more than he had in 2018. Do you think that he's about right with his kind of predictions of top 6 in the championship?
Yeah, I reckon that's a decent target for him. I don't expect him to be troubling the sort of top 5, but certainly 6th, 7th. Certainly think his target's just going to be beat his teammates, make a good impression, get the better of the more experienced Elfyn Evans, and that'll put him in pretty good stead, I think, going forward.
Obviously, you mentioned there about the new co-driver. He feels quite comfortable with that. But M Sport, new co-drivers for every single driver. None of them have got the same co-driver. Elfyn Evans switching to Scott Martin, who was Craig Breen's co-driver before then. Tiedemann's obviously changed to Olaf Flown, and Gus Greensmith is with Elliot Edmondson because his previous co-driver retired after a crash. So that's going to be, I think that's going to be really unsettling for all of the drivers there.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot of change, isn't it? It's already not going to looking good, but it'll be very much, I think, a building sort of time for them. Maybe first half might start off a little bit slower, and then maybe it'll come to them later on in the championship. Who really knows? I think there's a big question mark, isn't there, really, over every driver there and kind of the whole team in general at the moment.
Yeah, and that's not it for co-driver changes. We will come on to more later on. Let's go on to Hyundai now, who, despite what we said that we were sure they were going to have 5 drivers. It looks like they're only going to have 4 at the moment. Thierry Neuville, of course, full season for him. Andreas Mikkelsen, very lucky. He's getting a full season as well. And then we've got Danny Sordo and Sebastian Loeb sharing that 3rd car. We'll start off with Thierry Neuville. And what are we expecting from him in 2019?
Well, he's got to win, hasn't he, the championship? It feels like this is his 3rd sort of shot at it. I feel like he's been building and building. Depends who you ask, really, doesn't it? But I mean, for me, his 2018 was an improvement on 2017. I feel like he let himself down in 2017, maybe. But in 2018, I think he was up against it, really, especially in that second half of the year. I think the car sort of got away from him. So I'm pretty hopeful for 2019. If the car's there, I really expect a good challenge from Neuville. He always starts the seasons, pretty strongly. His first half has always been good. It's just whether or not he and the team can just keep that going over the season. But I think crucially, he's got teammates now that can hopefully help him, and certainly, of course, one in particular that we hope will help him anyway for half of the events.
Yeah, to me, I think I've said this before. I think Neuville has missed his best shot in 17, definitely. And last year, I do agree. I think it wasn't really his fault, but it was still a missed opportunity all round from the team. But I do think that the Manufacturers' Championship is really on for Hyundai. If Mikkelsen can recapture his form, Sordo and Loeb are going to be strong, I would imagine. And there's a chance Toyota might implode with their lineup. You never know. And Citroën have only got 2 cars. So for me, it's not necessarily on Neuville to win the Drivers' Championship. It's more the Manufacturers' Championship. That's my personal thinking, but I'm not going to count out Neuville. But I'd say, to me, that kind of lineup looks more like it's aimed toward the manufacturers.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, an interesting one in the way they've kind of split the cars, isn't it? Because we know obviously Neuville will be doing the full season, and then, the rest is a little blurry. Loeb and Sordo, we think are obviously going to split it. We think Loeb's doing 6 events. But I just get the feeling that even if they said that now, that might change as the season goes on. We need a better season, don't we, from Mikkelsen? Otherwise, he's either going to get his season cut short or he won't be continuing the team next year.
Yeah, and he got, apparently, I mean, this is very rumoury kind of stuff, but apparently Mikkelsen got lawyers involved to make sure that he had a full season. So obviously Hyundai weren't happy with him, and I think that's pretty obvious, but he's obviously very stern with holding on to his full season drive. But as you say, I think surely there's got to be some kind of performance contract in there where he's got to start getting results.
I mean, I think we'll know straight away as well, won't we? Because, it kind of happened last year where he wasn't really good to begin with, and that just didn't really improve as the season went on. There were flashes, but hopefully this winter has somehow sort of rejuvenated him, because, we can't forget the Mikkelsen we saw at the end of 2016, and at the one that was fighting for a seat in 2017, fought so hard to get it, got it, and then, had a miserable 2018. So, hoping for better for Mikkelsen. What can we expect from Sebastian Loeb?
I think he's going to be up there in pretty much every event that he's at. We still don't actually know which events he's doing, but I think that pretty much last season proved that pretty much anywhere he's going to be up there in every event. In terms of the actual results, I think he'll be competitive, fighting for wins pretty much everywhere. Maybe not in Sweden if he does well in Monte because of road position. Don't know, that's a question mark. But I think he'll pick up maybe 4 podiums and 2 wins, I'm going to say.
Yeah, that sounds pretty right to me. I mean, he's going to be a challenger, isn't he? Every rally he's at. and I feel like it may well be a case of win or bin sometimes, a little bit like it was last year. But I mean, it's going to help Hyundai, isn't it? Because they had to change something. If they went in and tried to do the same thing for the third year in a row, it wasn't going to work. And as harsh as it is on Hayden Paddon, you can't disagree with the decision, can you? To give events to Loeb, to get him in that car, and it's almost a bit of a steal, isn't it? Because Citroen had him on their books, M Sport were possibly looking at him, and then Hyundai, really out of nowhere, just came in and have sort of taken him away, and maybe that could be the difference in such a tight championship.
Yeah, I think you really can't doubt Loeb. It would have been silly had they not gone for it. I think they were harsh with Paddon in terms of how much they offered him. I think there was still one event they offered him. Oh, what good is that going to do? But yeah, I think they could have offered him a little bit more, but I agree. You cannot turn down Sebastian Loeb, even though he's mid-40s and really just should be sat at home doing nothing. He's still an incredible driver. It's pretty crazy. And then finally, Sordo. I don't know what to expect from him. He did well in 2018. I think that'll carry on. But you never quite know with Sordo. Sometimes he can just be a little bit off colour.
I think he wants to win, doesn't he? I think every driver wants to win, but I feel like Sordo, was so close last year. He's 35 now. Rally drivers, of course, can go on for pretty much forever, as Loeb has shown. And I feel like Sordo is very much one of those drivers that will not lose too much of his edge. And if anything, he's actually grown more recently, I think, in terms of becoming a more sort of, quick on gravel, not just on tarmac. So, yeah, I expect good things from Sordo. They just all need to finish, don't they, really, and get some good points and support Neville, because we just haven't had that over the last 2 years. So let's see if anything changes.
Yeah, so that is Hyundai there. And finally, Toyota, which I'm really looking forward to. Oit Tanak is definitely the favourite for this championship, but as I said, me personally, I think that Ogier will be a very strong contender for him. I think that he can't afford, and Toyota can't afford to make the mistakes that they made last year, and he's going to have massive competition from Jari-Matti Latvala, who was fantastic at the end of last season, and Chris Meek, who we know is going to be quick. I doubt that he'll be fighting for the championship, but there's going to be an incredible amount of competition there.
Fast but fragile, I'd say. That's what their car and their driver lineup. This could be, I think, a season where they win 75% of the rallies, take both championships, or it could be a season where there's just absolute carnage going on and just a complete mess, and maybe they win half of the rallies but then crash out of half of them. It's going to be, I think, an event really to watch Toyota this year, because they do have such a quick car and 3 incredibly talented drivers. I really hope it comes together for them. I hope it comes together for Meek finally, not in terms of a championship as you say, but just hopefully he can get a couple of wins and just get some consistency, get some momentum going. This really is his last chance. This is Tanak's first real chance, I think. He's shown what he can do last year. Now he's got a full season to sort of, deliver really, because, he was pretty quick, to be honest, as soon as he joined Toyota, but this is his first kind of proper season with them now. And, you've got Latvala as well, like you said, who's rejuvenated. So, how do you sort of pick out of those and pick out the rest of the field? What do you think's happening with Toyota?
Yeah, I'm really not sure. I think Tanak's got to assert his authority like he did last year in the early stages. If he has a poor start to the season, he's not going to get that priority towards the end of it. And I think that realistically, he's probably, he is obviously the man who's going to be fighting over the course of the season. But if Meek, Latvala do well at the start of the season, Toyota can't suddenly say, oh no, we're going to favour Tanak. So he's got to do well at the start of the season. I think he will. And I think that Meek is going to grow into this season. That's I'm
very cautious, aren't we, about predicting stuff for Meek?
Yeah,
because I think everyone has predicted good stuff, and but this has got to be one of his best chances, surely. We know that Toyota's quick, but we do know it's fragile as well, and yeah, we've seen it go off the road quite a lot of times last year, even in the hands of Tanak and Latvala and Lappy. So I'm not convinced, to be honest, with this whole thing. Do you think it was the right decision to go with Meek? Of course, if you were creating an entertainment program, you would definitely put Meek in there. But from a business point of view, with the other drivers that they possibly could have got, is this something that they could regret later on?
I think so, to be honest. I would not have chosen Meek myself. I would have tried harder to keep Lappy, because it seemed like he left, but they weren't too bothered about him leaving. That's what it seems like from the outside. I would have tried harder to keep him, and then I would have gone with Craig Breen, because I think he's a more reliable third driver. I don't think with the car they've got, they don't need 3 really quick drivers. To me, I think it's a bit of an overkill. They're trying world domination. It all seems like.
That's what I mean. They literally could dominate this year. I think not completely, of course, and because OJ is in that field, so there's no way they can. But they could really make a huge impression on this year, because what we saw last year was that they were just unbelievably quick until it all went wrong.
Yeah. So I suppose Latvala, we kind of touched on him, but I don't know what to expect from him, because he did so well at the end of last season, and you think that's going to carry on, but can he do a whole season? Can he put a whole season together? Because the last 2 seasons he's had a good first half in 2017, bad second half, and then vice versa 2018.
Yeah, I think he just seems to struggle under the pressure. When there's no pressure on, he's unbeatable and he's got great momentum, but the pressure's coming on at the start of the year, so I think this year it's going to be another maybe struggle at the start, or maybe he'll do well at the start and then it'll all fall apart. I just cannot predict that he's going to be in the top 3 in the championship, come the end of the year, but I'm really hoping so.
Yep. And then, of course, it wouldn't be an Across the Stages podcast if we didn't mention WRC2. We love our WRC2. Big switch up this year, WRC2 Pro and WRC2. So Pro is just for the manufacturers. As we kind of expected, a slow start. There's only 3 entries for the start of this season, but there will be... a few teams have committed to putting a couple of drivers in for 10 or so events over the course of the season. It's hard to bet against Skoda, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one. I think it's going to be a complicated one, because you're going to be trying to work out who's in what championship and what points count for who and who's driving for what and who's co-driver who's. But yeah, it's looking interesting, definitely. I think it's good we've got people like Mads Osberg stepping back, because it gives a good barometer to people like Rovanperä. It kind of shows how good they really are. And I think Rovanperä should win this championship. If he can just finish the events. I mean, he's doing a thing where he's doing all the events he hasn't done already, just to maximise the amount of experience he's going to gain. That's his main aim, is just to gain experience and prove to teams that he's ready for next year, not to win this championship. So I think the only way he's not going to win the championship is if he basically goes off the road, and you have someone like Jan Kopecky, who keeps it on the road and does a really solid job once again, and he'll take the title. Maybe Mats Osberg, but for me, like you say, it's got to be one of the Skoda guys, surely, because those other cars... not up to the same standard. Maybe the Polo, but then again, you don't have anyone really driving that for the full year that could take the title.
No, we haven't announced anything yet. They've got cars in WRC2 normal, but they haven't got any manufacturers supported things, so they're not in WRC2 Pro. In terms of Rovanperä, I'm pretty sure he will win this championship, because of the structure of the championship seems good for him, because there's no maximum number of events like there was before. You can do every single event if you want, and then you pick your best 8. And I think that Rovanperä is the kind of person where there's going to be the backing behind him for him to do all of the events if he wants to. So I do think that he could do pretty much every single round of this season, and that would help him a lot. That's true. Whereas, like Kopecky, isn't even confirmed for either of the first 2 events, so maybe he'll only do 5 or 6 like he did last year. Yeah, it would be a shame if he didn't really have a full shot at defending his championship. Yeah, but I think the odds would be against him anyway. In terms of Rovanperä's rival, I suppose Mads Osberg could be a big one. We saw with Mikkelsen when he stepped back into WRC2 in 2017. He absolutely annihilated everyone in terms of pace. He was winning by 2 minutes and everything. So maybe that could be the same with Mads Osberg. I don't know. Nah, I don't know what it is. I just don't think that's going to happen. And the thing is, Mikkelsen stepped back into a Skoda, didn't he? And I think Rovanperä is that special, where I think if you chucked him into a WRC car now, he'd be right on pace. He wouldn't have the consistency, and he probably wouldn't finish a rally, but over certain stages, he would be just as quick. So
I think that's going to be another story, isn't it, as well? The kind of off-season, the kind of silly season that's going on. Who's going to get Rovanperä? You know, is there any sort of manufacturer you can see that could probably put him in the car for next year?
Yeah, I think there's all this talk about Toyota, isn't it? Where
Yeah.
that they will only pick 2 from their current lineup, and then they'll get rid of 1. And
Yes, and
replace it
Mikko
with
Lapli,
Rovanperä.
obviously, you would suspect, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't
It's
think
going to
they're
be
going to
one
get
of
rid
them.
of Tanak.
No, so that's another element really to Terry's battle, and that's another reason why they're all going to have to throw it off the throw it either win or bin really because everything's on the line.
Yeah, so we're pretty confident Rovanperä for
Absolutely, 100%.
WRC2 Pro.
Yeah.
I won't bother going into WRC2 because there's so much uncertainty in terms of who's going to enter that. But going back to WRC Championship prediction, top 3 in the championship.
Oh god, that's amazing. I mean, to be honest, I have to go with my gut is my head is telling me Tanak, obviously, because they're the fastest car. But my heart just says just says something about Ogier and Citroen. Not because it's a fairy tale, but that's just for me. I saw what Loeb did last year with Citroen. You know, I'm gonna go against it. I'm gonna go Ogier number 1, Tanak number 2, and then I guess I'll have to put Neville third.
Yeah, I think because there's a clear number 1 at Citroen and Hyundai, I think those 2 have got to be in the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I'm going to go with Ogier because I do think, to me, the start of the season, he's got 2 very good events for him, Monte-Carlo, Corsica. So that's 2 events where he should do well, however the car's performing, you would imagine. And by then, I think that they will have got Citroen dialed in. And I think that they could be challenging Toyota, and I think that he'll be more consistent. He's not going to have points taken off from his teammates, which Tanak might. So I think Ogier could do it. But definitely in terms of odds that I've seen, and in terms of what you've seen, Tanak is the favourite, which is very odd when Ogier is going for a 7th world title. But I think that Ogier can do it. I didn't when he first announced he was moving to Citroen. I didn't think he could do it.
What is he doing?
But yeah, I already have changed my mind, and I think Ogier could do it. So unfortunately, it's a bit dull, but I'm going to go with the same as you.
They just seem so far ahead, don't they? Those top 3. We saw that last year. You know, untouchable pretty much, unless Latvala can string it together. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think I couldn't. I suppose. No, I think
if we had to put 4 and 5, you know, I'd put Latvala and Lappy there as well. But then isn't that? I think that's the same top 5 as last year as well. So surely, I swear this never happens when you get the same drivers at the top. So there's going to be a surprise in there somewhere.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, it was the same. Top 4 was same 2017 to 2018.
That's true.
So
and to be fair, there's not even that many full-time drivers, is it? With all these seat sharing and that. So yeah.
So yeah. We are
Loeb maybe. Loeb, he'll win 6 events and that'll take him to 5th.
That would be amazing. But I think surely he says that he doesn't want a 10th world title. But surely if he does really well in the first 2 events, he's gonna it's gonna surely enter his mind.
It's good that he's doing the first 2. I'll say that. It's you know he's doing these first, so he could be in the Championship League come Mexico. You know, we'll see.
So that would be very interesting. Let's turn now to Monte-Carlo itself, and I'm going to start with Sebastian Loeb again. We're just talking about him. Odds are against him because he's just done the Dakar, which he did well in. He came 3rd, but that has affected the amount of testing that he's doing. So, and obviously he's getting used to the new car. Could this mean that Monty's more of a kind of getting used to things rally?
Possibly for a normal driver, but you know this is Loeb, so we'll have to see. I mean, Ogier is getting used to a Citroen as well. Neville has never had really the look around Monte Carlo. Tanak and Latvala have both shown really good pace, but again, not quite got the results to show for it. So I think it's going to be pretty open, really. I'd still put Ogier as a favourite, even though it's a new car, because he seems to have this knack of just being able to get it all together, especially on Monty, which feels to me a lot like a sort of an equaliser event. And, you know, Ogier's won it so many times in the past. I mean, he's won the last, 5, I think, in a row?
Yeah.
So, this very well could be number 7 overall. And I think that would match him with the number of wins Loeb has around this rally. So, yeah, for me, I put Ogier as a favourite. But you've also got 3 main other contenders being Loeb, Tanak, and Latvala for me.
Yeah, with regards to Loeb, I think that he's playing the game that he did last year, where don't expect anything from me. Of course, we've got to. You're a 9-time world champion, and as you say, it is an equaliser. I've heard Ogier say before that this event, I think it was when he won it in 2017, he said this event isn't about having a car that's dialed in to be massively quick. It's about having a car that works on every service that you can imagine, and you get your tyres right. And he's the man at Ogier and Loeb. I mean, he's been out of it for a few years, but those are the people that know the event best. They know how to set up a car for it. So I don't see the car really playing much into it. So I think Ogier, Loeb, or Tanak. I don't see Latvala personally. I think he's
podium, right?
Podium, yes.
He feels like a very podium sort of Monty guy, sort of thing.
Yeah. I can't see him winning it, but I can see him. I can see him doing pretty well, and I think Chris Meek will put in some very good stages when it's tarmac.
Yeah.
But I think that when it gets snowy, he's gonna fall off.
He's gonna crash. I'm gonna say he's gonna fall off the road, because it just feels like that's just gonna be the way it goes, and it's gonna be a Twitter storm about it, and everyone's gonna be, well, there you go, Meek's crashed again. So yeah, that's my prediction.
But I think you can, going into Monte Carlo, I think it's a good first event, because I think you can forgive people for crashing at Monte Carlo.
Absolutely.
Just a sudden bit of ice and you're off the road. So I didn't actually pick out a winner out of that. I'm gonna go for it and say Loeb.
Yeah, very good, very good.
So yeah, there we go. And as we said with WRC2 Pro, there's only 3 people went for this one, so there's not much point really going into that. But it's Greensmith Benato, who's kind of a specialist in French conditions, so he could do quite well, and Rovin Pera. But
we'll blitz them all.
Yeah,
all crash.
That would definitely be because last year we saw people who'd just never done WRC2 before coming second, because so many people.
I mean, there were 4 people last year, so we've improved on that. We've got some other, Vaby as well's in there in the polo, so maybe he's one to watch out for as well. So maybe I'll say that. We'll say Christian Vaby to win in a polo, a shocker result.
Right, so there we go, Monte Carlo coming up, and we'll be back obviously reviewing Monte Carlo, and in terms of episodes this year, they're going to be. Well, hopefully we're going to have them throughout the whole year. Obviously, we had a few breaks in the middle of last season. But yeah, hopefully full year for this second series. And I'm looking forward to it. And we'll speak again after Monte Carlo. So thank you very much for your time today. And we'll see you later. Goodbye.